Hello and welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. My name is Joelle and I'm the Viberarian. I'm your host here on the Viberarian Radio Network, and every Tuesday, or just about every Tuesday, we're here interviewing people who are sharing their stories of how they discovered their psychic gifts and abilities. Now, the Viberarian Radio Network is part of the Blog Talk Radio family, and you can look at the programming and schedule and catch up with old episodes if you visit blogtalkradio.com/thevibrary. And the Viberary is THEVIBE for energy, RARY. You can check out the programming and see what we've got coming up. And also, I would love for you to connect with me on my communities. I like to call the people I gather together the Good Vibe Tribe. As we know, your vibe attracts your tribe, and I have some pretty amazing people that are connecting with me out in social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can connect with me at The Viberarian. Now, I used to be a librarian in my corporate life, working in law firms and such as that, but now I'm working in high vibrational information, things that I hope are elevational, uplifting, and ultimately empowering you to live your best life possible. You can find the Viberarian at THEVIBERARIAN. Now, if you have a funny meme or a picture or an inspiring story that you want to share, please tag Good Vibe Tribe. Share it on my Facebook page, because I would love to spread that energy to as many people as possible. We see so much that is shared that is kind of negative at times, and every time that we spread a smile, that directly counteracts that and spreads love and light everywhere we go. So please do reach out to me. On our show this evening, you can listen live on your browser or PC on your mobile browser, or you can call at 646-668-8988. If you have a question during the show about the story that we're going to be getting into in the interview, definitely press 1 and I will bring you on the air. Now, on many of our shows, the guests do offer free psychic readings. Those will not take place until the last segment of the show, so somewhere probably around 10:30-ish. So those of you that are holding, I can already see the phone lines are filling up this evening. I will get to you as soon as possible if you have a reading. And there is a chat room available as well if you're on the Blog Talk Radio site. And I'm monitoring that in case you have questions or any curiosities that you wish to have answered. Now, I am just beside myself with excitement because tonight's guest, I think, is probably hails from the furthest location that I've had anyone on the show. She comes from beautiful Ireland. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm excited because I have seen her name around Atlanta. She's well known in the psychic community. I've seen her in magazines and some of the metaphysical magazines. She's been at different stores and psychic fairs, and most recently she was teaching a class that I was so disappointed because I would have loved to attend. But I would love for you all to be introduced to my guest this evening, Irish medium Yvonne O'Brien. Yvonne, welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. Well, let me see if we have her on the line. Yvonne, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Joelle. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Awesome. Thank you, and welcome to the Psychic Inside Show this evening.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be on the show. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, this is quite a wonderful experience for me. As I said, I'm very excited to have you on, and you actually are hailing from the Emerald Isle, I suppose it's called, from Green,
yes,
Ireland, which I always think of Ireland as being quite a magical place. Would you agree that there is much magic?
Yes, oh, absolutely. I think most Irish people will tell you that we believe in most things. Primarily, people in Ireland are Catholic, but we also believe in fairies. You know, the myths and legends of the leprechaun, a lady known as the banshee, fairy rings. We're very superstitious as well. You know, so most Irish people will never walk under a ladder, if you know what I mean, for example. So I'm very afraid of ghosts, or will tell you every house they know on the street that's haunted, for example. So very open people. You'll be very impressed if you someday make it to Ireland.
Well, I definitely hope to. And what I saw in your bio and learned about you is that you are a second, possibly third generation intuitive psychic medium. So your mother was a practicing psychic medium as you were growing up, correct?
That is correct, absolutely, yeah. And married to a man who wasn't really a whole lot into it, so that was even more interesting, you know what I mean? So, and my granny, my mum's mother, back in her day was just very knowing. You know, they didn't really call them psychics then, they just called them the woman who knew everything, and everybody was very wary of her. And, you know, she lived in this kind of cul-de-sac and, like, you know, stay away from her or whatever, you know. And she did dowsing for water and stuff like that because they had wells in the countryside where they lived, you know. But, yeah, my mum started reading when I was about 13 years of age.
Oh, okay. So was it commonplace before she was reading that you kind of had then a psychic awareness? Were you born and recognizing some of your gifts as commonplace at that particular time then?
I'm not too sure if it was very common, but as a child, we grew up in my grandparents' house. And I used to constantly at nighttime see faces. I was typically scared of the wardrobe, you know, don't leave the wardrobe open, stuff like that. But I always look back and think how funny it was because I used to see faces just outside the window. And at least, you know, I just think after a while, well, that was kind of a bit odd because my bedroom was on the second floor, and how could the faces just be at the window? You know, wouldn't they have been pretty tall kind of thing? And I didn't, you know, and I just didn't sleep for a long time as a kid, you know, and like most parents, they went through the normal stuff, or maybe we'll take her to the doctor or see if it's a psychological problem. I remember going through one doctor who actually hypnotized me to try and train me into sleeping. But it wasn't until I was given these cassette tapes by a psychologist that I finally got to sleep, you know. But yeah, so very much aware of other beings and stuff, particularly when it got dark, you know.
Well, I can imagine. I can't imagine looking out of your second-story window and seeing a face of someone, whether it was smiling or not. I can imagine that would be rather disruptive. So clairvoyance was something then that you were experiencing just very naturally if you had to look at your psychic gift presentation?
Yes. Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of people talk about clairvoyance being that you can see, clairaudience where you can hear, clairsentient where you can feel. I did see a lot of unusual things as a very little small kid. I was always very intrigued by people as well, so I think that was there. And I was very fascinated with churches and nuns and all that kind of stuff. So I was beginning to think I was a little bit different, if that makes sense. Because I remember our church I grew up in a little town outside Dublin, Ireland, which is the capital. And our church was like a 17th century big Gothic stone church, and I was fascinated with this building, and I used to just sit there and look at it, you know. And my mum was very with the nuns in the convent was linked to the church, and she would go visit them, and they would give me sweets and stuff. So I used to be amazed at their outfits and that they lived there and that they were in prayer all day long. I just thought it was all fascinating, you know.
Definitely. I mean, so between religion and then seeing spirits and ghosts, was there any conflict in that?
I didn't really think so. It was kind of a blended thing because we have this kind of, remember I was saying earlier that Irish are superstitious, that they believe when certain death comes in threes, you know. Another superstition that they have, which kind of blends the two, is that if a holy picture falls off the wall in Ireland and doesn't break, it means somebody's going to die or somebody has just died. So that kind of blends the two together, and that actually did happen when I was a kid. My mother had a holy picture of the Blessed Mother on the wall, and I remember it. I remember it vividly crashing down on the floor, and then the phone ringing about like less than 10 minutes later to say that her dad had died. You know, and the picture was perfect. It had the glass didn't break, nothing broke. It just came off the wall. So I think that's kind of an unusual blend that, you know, that and the church in Ireland was quite, I guess, different. It wasn't very, there were people still going and stuff like that. And my kind of thing as I grew up was that I kind of had to keep the two together. I couldn't separate myself from God and be a spiritualist. I had to still believe that this gift came from God because I was seeing so many unusual things that quantified a God in my readings. And a couple of years ago, I said to myself, okay, I had an injury in my shoulder. I was like, if I'm not meant to be doing this work, you know, I'm laid up and injured my shoulder, then, you know, everything will go away. And I had to take all these ibuprofen, all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm supposed to be on my back for a reading, for a reason. And a couple of days later, I had somebody booked for a reading, and I was like, oh, I really think I need to cancel this because I was taking too many painkillers. And I got the message, don't cancel it. And I had so many painkillers, and I thought, well, how am I going to connect, you know? But it came through, and came through really strong. So that's the other question sometimes people ask, well, if you're on painkillers and stuff, how come you can't dream and stuff like that? If you're meant to have a channel from the other side, it's going to come true no matter what. And I always hold these rosary beads. I have several different types of rosary beads, and I always bring them with me to make sure I'm connecting to the divine and the white light, and I'm not giving wrong information to people. I mean, so I see the two of them as parallel. You know, particularly for the gracious gifts I've been given. And I think that holy places like churches have some wonderful energy and some healing. So much healing can be done there. So I always encourage people to go into these places and not necessarily run away from organized religion. You don't have to participate in the service. You know, just go into the building and decide for yourself, you know.
Yes, absolutely. One thing that I hear commonly is that when people are children and they're starting to have clairvoyance or clairaudience or encounters with the other dimensions, that there is a reaction then from a kind of religious conflict in the adults around them sometimes that then leads to a period where they then repress or try to squash or cure themselves of these things. And sometimes it causes quite a bit of pain, unfortunately, in the child coming to accepting themselves as an adult. But I always am really heartened to hear stories of people who did not have to go through that, where it was not a condemnation or judgment or anything like that. Now, I'm assuming with your mother then beginning to do readings and see clients as you are entering your teenage years, you learned a lot then from observing her. Would that be a fair assessment?
Oh, absolutely. You know, and to be fair to my mom was always, very open to kind of what's happening here with me, and she was having all these interesting things go on with her too, and she wanted to explore what that was, and she started taking classes, and then she started tarot card reading, and then eventually she let go of the cards. And because of my mom's side of work, I got to meet a lot of different psychics as a teenager, and I got to have loads of different readings. I had my tea leaves read, I had palm readings done, crystal ball readings, all kinds of stuff. Now, of course, all this was without my father's knowledge, because, like I was saying earlier, he didn't necessarily agree with this, and he never let my mother do readings in our house. It was a no-no zone, if you know what I mean. So you're always going to get people there that think this is not of God, or you shouldn't be dabbling with that, And I've never ever dabbled with a Ouija board, because when I was in secondary or high school, there were a group of girls in my school that did dabble with a Ouija board, and our principal addressed the entire school one day, and I'll never forget it. And he warned everybody that one of the girls wasn't coming back because something had happened, and that nobody was to go near a Ouija board, and that just scared the life out of me. And I was like, okay, that's it. Even if it's pink or white and has hearts on it, no way.
Right.
So that's why I always like to stay in the light, and I always need to make sure I'm not connected to any lower energies, or bringing that stuff in, and I've never ever participated in any kind of thing that might be deemed as a seance or something like that, But yeah, there's so many different ideologies you're going to. Nobody's going to accept everything that you do,
Yes, absolutely. So did you then, you learned from your mother from observation.
Yes.
Did you at some point then seek out your own kind of education path? And did you ever go into a traditional vocation when you came of age and graduated high school? Or have you always been kind of in the spiritual arts?
Right. This is a great question, because I actually have one sister and one brother. And just to give you the background, my sister likes to get readings, but never follow this kind of path. But my brother, since he was young, also acknowledges his dreams. So I was around, my siblings. And then when I started to grow up into 15, 16, 17, my mom was trying to encourage me to go to what's called the spiritualist churches. And I was edging off to college in England. I was going to be leaving Ireland, going to England. She was trying to encourage me to join these churches so that I could learn how to meditate and really take what I had to the next level. Unfortunately, I, being young, decided that I still like my dreams and getting readings, but I want to have a good time in college as well. So it didn't quite happen in the speed my mother wanted. I really didn't open up to a really new level until 2005, when I finally learned how to meditate. You know what I mean? And that was all in America. So I did move a little slower, but my dreams never went away. They're always since so vivid. Like I was having conversations with people at tables, having a mug of coffee or a cup of tea, or I was going on walks with people. They were all like, I could describe what they look like, and my mother would acknowledge, oh yeah, that's your great uncle, or blah, blah, blah. And people I'd never even met, So all of that continued to go on. I just never got into a professional group of people, like-minded people, until 2005, unfortunately.
Well, it's funny that you said you didn't until you learned how to meditate. I will tell you that in terms of people developing, say, a personal spiritual practice, That is the one thing I hear all the time is, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. I can't hold still. I can't, and it's such a challenge that people kind of, it almost like it becomes its own block then when you bring up the word meditation, but I guess I had to learn that meditation can look like a lot of things. For some people, walking helps them free their mind into a meditative state rather than what you see when they're like sitting in the lotus position in this beautiful Zen-like space. Most people will throw in the towel and say, I just can't do it.
and Joelle, I completely agree with you, because the very first meditation I had was actually in the same room that I met you in East Point in Georgia. And the same thing happened to me. I hated it. I was like, I can't do this. I cannot focus on the candle or focus on my breathing. I left there after an hour. My back was hurting. It was like I felt more like upset than anything. It really wasn't until I came to the Horizon Healing Center on Roswell Road and learned how to do guided meditation that I was like, this is for me. This is it. I can do this. These are like taking me to these amazing places, and I can feel I'm really there. I have no human-like qualms. All of my baggage has been left behind, and I was vibrating at this high level after 10 minutes, and I was like, wow, I can do this, and I really agree with what you said about the walking as well. And some of the classes I teach people that if you can't sit still or even do guided meditations, number one, lie on the bed just before you go to sleep. Try it then. If that still doesn't work, go out for a 10-minute walk. You can bring your dog too. Some people ask me, no pets. Like, yeah, bring your dog. Just don't bring your cell phone or your mobile phone. That's a no-no, and you have to be able to lose yourself or go off somewhere nice and quiet and go, oh, look at that beautiful bird there. Hear the birds singing. Admire the trees. It's taken to just trance-like state, and you get some amazing information. This clarity, comes. So definitely recommend it quite. Thank you.
Well, you know what? One day it clicked for me. I went to have a float therapy session, at one of those flotation tanks things where it's all completely dark and completely quiet. And I was floating along there thinking, this isn't working. I'm still thinking, this is, all the thoughts are running through your mind. And then at some point, I don't know what happened, but I heard myself snore. So apparently I had gone past the thinking place, and once I became aware of the kind of void space of actual non-thought, from that point on, it was like it clicked, and I knew how to get back to that place once I had kind of been led to it. It became like a familiarity that I had never connected before. And, I guess everybody needs that kind of one good time when you realize, oh, I was there. And then you have like a little roadmap, I think, for getting yourself, back to that Zen-like state of receiving, Now, well, I would say, in your meditative practice, you already were seeing and dreaming and hearing the clair senses. So then when you were able to attain more of a meditation practice, how did that shift your connection and your gifts?
Well, there's actually a funny story behind this, because in 2005, when I joined the Horizon Healing Center, which is since closed down, Joanne, the director from California, had retired. When I joined this class and she taught me how to do guided meditations, she wanted me to do her advanced intuitive development, where you learn how to do aura readings and stuff like that. And she was teaching me these aura readings, and the funniest thing happened. I kept saying to her, well, Joanna, I was trying to follow her program, but I kept saying, well, there's a man standing over there, and this is what he looks like, and blah, blah, blah. And we laughed about it soon after because we figured out, well, Yvonne's readings are going to be different, you know. And she's the one who encouraged me, you know, like, we need to start this group thing once a month, and you do these short readings, and you tell them who's standing there, because I was very strong on the seeing. I don't believe every medium or psychic is strong on all the clairs. Sometimes I'm very challenged to hear, and in other readings I can't see them, but I can hear, like, there's an echo going on in the room, you know, kind of thing. So I do think really from the guided meditations, it kicked it up a huge notch of growth for me, particularly as, you know, we were just sitting in this nice energy. It was protected. You were with like-minded people. You felt safe. You could share things that you possibly couldn't share in general public, you know. And it just went very, very fast from there. And it took my dreams to a whole new level as well, you know. So I've kind of never looked back. There's never a kind of a gone, like, has been turned off. Like, only very briefly, like I said, when I injured my shoulder and went, oh God, what's going on, you know. So I think I think psychic gifts are basically ingrained in all of us, particularly the intuition piece. But I don't think everybody acknowledges them or get caught up in the day-to-day of, like, I have to go to work, I have to get into the car now, I have to be there at 8:15, go, you know. And when you're when you're in that stress state, not relaxed, you can't really pay attention to your own intuition. You can't see the truth right in front of you. You make mistakes. You say, like, you don't feel like yourself, you know, and stuff like that, you know.
Absolutely. That's one of my reasons for bringing this show to the air is because I believe, of course, that everyone is psychic. You just may not recognize it. And so in sharing stories and hearing from people like yourself, I think it gives a wonderful way for people to identify, because certain things like, oh, you hear all the time, a mother's intuition. Oh, a mother just knows. And that's accepted. That doesn't give anybody any woo-woo feelings, right? Or if they said, oh, I just had a gut punch, then that doesn't give anybody any heebie-jeebies. But if you start saying, well, I'm psychic and I heard my grandfather singing hymns to me, then it takes it like a step too far for people when they're like, wait a second, now you're getting into something that makes me somewhat uncomfortable or challenges my belief systems. But you know, to me, it's part and parcel of the journey of self-discovery and awareness. And 9 times out of 10, people discount those inner things once they start to look at it with the logical mind. Like, you know, well, there's no reason that I felt that way. So then they'll explain it away. And I still catch myself doing that. I'll hear, like, get off at this exit. And I'll think, well, there's nothing on, you know, being in Atlanta, as you know, traffic is something you encounter nearly random at any time of day or night. So, you know, one day I was riding around the bottom perimeter and I hear, get off at this exit. And I looked ahead and I said, no, it's not a problem. It doesn't say anything on the signs. There's nothing to be worried about. And it was a fleeting thought. I let it go. Not even, of course, before I could get off at the next exit, then the traffic jam came, and I was 45 minutes sitting in one spot, you know, hitting myself on the head like, you still small voice. You should have just listened to it, you know. Now, I will say go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's very common what you said, because either you're just, you don't want to listen to the voice that day, or like, look, I don't have enough time today. You know, not today. Go away today and leave me alone, kind of thing. I mean, because a similar thing happened to me. I was like driving. I in my old life, because most people who turn into full-time psychics or mediums do have an old life. You know, I had a full-time job. And I remember one day having to go to downtown Atlanta. And there's two ways I can go, the back roads or the highway. And I remember being on the turn onto the highway, and it was like this force was trying to get me to turn the driving wheel to the right. And I kept going, no, not today. I'm done today. I need to just get to work, you know. And I literally went against the force. And I was like, it was so difficult. Of course, I made the left turn, went around the corner, went onto the bridge, and the entire highway was locked up. And I was like, I'm sorry, I get it. I'm just going to be mad at me now. I'm just going to be mad at me, you know, because the force was so strong. I was literally going against the steering wheel, you know. So, yeah, some days you just, you know, that's it. You know, I don't want to do with it today.
Right. Well, you know, a lot of people, there's a phrase that I hear, okay, everyone is psychic, but not everyone is a medium.
Right.
So mediums are acting then as a message channel for loved ones or discarnate, used to be people, or in some cases, I've heard people who are connecting with extraterrestrial and extra dimensional, and of course angel beings, and are acting as mediums for those energies. So when you started of course you were seeing faces as a child and seeing these interactions. When did you start to like really consciously then engage in why are you here kind of conversations, and what did that look like for you?
Right. I mean, and that's a brilliant question. And you're absolutely right. Everybody is intuitive and psychic. Not everybody can take the next jump to being the medium or the mediator. I know that's kind of negative sounding, but between the person who's crossed over and the person who's sitting here, you know. It really started, you know, my dreams are always very vivid. I always felt like, well, they're not really dreams. These are like visitations, you know. I'm either going into some weird space, you know. And you mentioned earlier, I just want to, I'm hopefully not going off on a tangent, you mentioned earlier that sometimes you try to share something with a person and they've gone like, reacted to you like you've gone one step too far. I always suggest to people that if you really need to share something with them and you've even been to see a medium, don't tell them you saw the medium. Tell them, you know, I had a dream last night. Because for some reason, 9 times out of 10 people will accept you had a dream, you know?
Yeah.
If you can tell them, I had a dream last night, and guess who was in it, you know? And then most people they won't even discount it. They'll even think about it, you know? So I always say to them, think about that. If you have, it might not be get through to. And then back to the thing about kicking it up to being a medium, it is tricky because when I did do that first reading at the Horizon Healing Center, and Joanne said, okay, Yvonne's readings are going to be a bit different, do spend a couple minutes saying, well, this is what they look like, and then you're waiting for the message. And it depends on the person's, you know, sometimes I can go into describing every inch that's on the person, and then finally I will say what they're saying because I know the person who's deceased is waiting for the person to acknowledge that they know who it is, if you know what I mean, okay? And then, and other times it takes 5 seconds. His name is Joe. He crossed over 9 years ago, and he knows me very well, you know, because they're ready, and all they thought about that morning was Joe, and we're ready to go, you know. So it's almost like they intuitively know we got to go really slow with this particular person, or we're going to go fast. They always do have lots of messages. Sometimes people think they just want to come in and say hello, you know. Only twice in my lifetime of people, when they've called me and I've told them I do psychic and medium readings, and only twice, and I remember them both times very vivid, have people said to me, well, I don't have anybody crossed over. And both times my initial reaction was like, oh, really? And both times I went, these the only two people that I can remember in all my readings. And on both occasions, we spent 90% of the time in mediumship with people that they had forgotten about. And one lady was actually her father. And I don't know how her reaction was, I don't have anybody crossed over. And I was like, you're dead. How did we forget about him? And I think it was more so that they just thought that they didn't bring information. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And her father went through this, and this. We must have went through so much information. She kept writing. I was like, just keep writing. So often people don't think that they want to share much, but they seem to know about things that have yet to happen, and this talk of linear time or time not being linear, because that's how, if any of your people listening tonight are thinking about becoming a medium or full time, it really is a fascinating life because you learn so much about things you can't even comprehend. I'm still trying to figure out, well, how does this work? And you're forever learning. You're never an expert. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And, I mean, you're talking to me in that statement because, honestly, when I've developed in my psychic abilities to varying degrees, but I kept then when I would be talking to people, they say, well, you're a medium. They say you could be a medium if you choose to. And I would, be thinking, okay, I had a fear then about mediumship to where I didn't quite understand, but the whole idea then, I had a couple of people who were practicing mediums who actually had some kind of bad or rough experiences, and so they were somewhat cautionary in saying, before you open up to that, make sure that you're sure. So I had to kind of unbundle where the nature of my fear was because I had heard my grandfather singing hymns to me as one of my first experiences in a reading, and I didn't have any challenge with that. But when it came to the idea then of being open in general or doing that professionally, and that's still something I think that I'm growing through because there is, a concern. People say, making sure that you're opening up to the right energy, making sure you have the right practices and things of that nature. So it's kind of like you don't want to go be a bull rider without having had some training about riding bulls. You don't want to just say, oh, sure, I'm going to hop on that old thing and be bucked off and I'll survive, So for people who, how would you describe then, because it's really a spiritual gift. You're helping people because you're bringing information from loved ones. Did you ever have any fear about it?
It's interesting you bring that aspect of it up of it. I strangely have to go back to the Catholic Church and not from a fear-based. One of the first things my mother gave me when I was experiencing the different faces and stuff in the bedroom was a little prayer by Saint Michael, the archangel. I didn't know who this guy was. All I knew is that he had these big wings and he had the sword and he could protect anybody. So I was like, okay. So she gave me, and I still have the little prayer to this day, and I've shown it in some of my classes. It's in 2 pieces now. I should have probably laminated it a long time ago. But to cut a long story short, I always brought him in, and I had this incredible understanding of this amazing winged angel. And so I thought nothing could ever harm me. And on strange occasions, when I would be coming up against some weird energies during the night, because often I have dreams about people before I have the reading, or experiences in my home the night beforehand and certain stuff. And, some of it will be quite dark, because we may be dealing with, God forbid, we may be dealing with murders, suicides, all kinds of strange things. But I've always had Michael there to protect me. So I've only had a couple of weird things, like I woke up one morning with a handprint on my face, and I was scratched.
Wow.
And it was funny because you go into this kind of shock and you think, God, afterwards, why didn't I take a photograph of that? Well, I was too kind of shocked to think about that, and I immediately just put some makeup on, and it was just, and any time I'm feeling that something weird is coming in, I always call out to Archangel Michael, or I've gone into this different energy or this different dimension, because you can go some fascinating places in your sleep. I always call out to Archangel Michael. I've never ever been harmed. So when I think of fear, when you said fear, those are the only things that I feared once I opened up, that God, could something happen to me,
Right.
But I always felt back in Archangel Michael, I've never ever been harmed. And to this day, I don't use sage either. A lot of people like sage. I have my rosary beads, and I use my Native American guides to march around the property and different things like that work for me. But I've always had this tremendous faith that once I was looking out for other people, no harm would ever be done to me. So that's what I kind of fall back on.
Well, that's beautiful. I think that,
thank you.
The gift of peace, for one, to act as the conduit of messages that are for the help and benefit of those who hear them, that is a calling. And those that step into that full time, I think that is just beautiful. It's like any priest or nun or any doctor, healer, anyone else who goes into something that is of great responsibility. This is not parlor room tricks or things of that nature. To me, this is quite serious business. And from what you're sharing, you've spent time educating yourself and practicing in your gifts, and really take it quite seriously as a path, from what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to laugh at yourself, too, because you want to make sure you never really go into ego, or kind of make sure, you don't try to enforce your way upon people, You try to get the information across, and if they're having a tough time with it, I always say to them, look, I'm going to leave it with you. You think about it and you decide when you're ready, kind of thing, I don't, and if I'm running into situations in readings where I feel like people don't want to talk to in, because I don't call specific people, I open the door and I see who's there. And I think that's better for me, because then the healing that needs to take place will take place then, and then they're in control. I'm never supposed to be in control. I'm just the go-between, So, I have to be able to laugh at myself sometimes,
Well, people, I appreciate the show Long Island Medium for what it is. I don't know if you're familiar with that show or not, but, it's really brought a mainstream kind of view of psychic mediums. But most of the psychics that I say that, cold reading, where you would come up to someone who's like your waiter or waitress or at a store or in public, that is probably the least likely thing that you would be doing in terms of doing readings for someone. Is that fair to say in your experience as well?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have done it a few times, I have to be honest with you, but only when I've been pushed. And I will give you a real life this is exactly how this particular day went down. I was meeting somebody at a cafe, and I don't meet too many people at a cafe, but it just seemed to be a good go-between for us. And we had finished our reading in the back of the cafe, as you do. And I was about to leave, and I saw these two gentlemen sitting at another table, and I could have sworn this lady said to me, go over there, and I'm like, what? You know? I was like, you know, so I won't get the nod in a crowded space unless I have complete certainty, you know. So I wasn't completely sure, so I proceeded to go out of the cafe, and I get into my car, and I hear the lady's voice again, go back in there, you know. And then I tried to start up my car wouldn't start, and I was like, okay, I get it. And I go back in there. And they told me exactly which guy I was to talk to. And he was from New York. And strange enough, although it was a lady talking to me, the message then was to do with a friend of his who had been tragically killed years earlier. So I delivered it in the neutral perspective I could, standing there in the cafe, and gave my card and said, no, if you want to talk to me, give me a call. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And I didn't know what he made of me, but he listened, and his friend was doing a bit of nodding, you know. And then I went outside, and my car started up, and I was like, thank you. Now
you did your job now.
I did my job so my car would work, you know, and I've worked on cold cases as well, and, you know, I've had my car cut out sometimes in the middle of driving when I'm going through, twice it happened to me when I was going through places that were very connected to cold cases that I was working on. I was like, I get it, and that's why I always kind of keep a little notebook with me in the car, but of course I recommend to people, you know, keep your eye on the road and don't get too distracted, but information can come to you in a car because you're monotonously driving and you're going into a kind of a trance-like thing, you know.
I was going to ask you if you had done any kind of psychic detective work, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Does the police call and say, this is investigator so-and-so, and we'd like for you to look at this case, or how does that work?
Well, it's, you know, I laugh at this because the sheriff's department or the police did, and then here's my kind of approach to it. And strange enough, while my father, because I have to bring it back that you choose your parents are the best ones for you. While my father, I earlier said, didn't really agree with what we were doing, he was helping me indirectly because at age 12 and 13, we used to go to Spain on our summer holidays, and he used to bring all these detective cold case magazines. And I never dawned on me until I was in 30 or 40. Like, that was kind of odd that's all we read on the beach, you know, was true crime magazines sitting on the beach in Spain, you know. And he got me fascinated in people like Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff. And I was like, what? So, you know, so he did me a favor, and, you know, later years and years passed, and I actually connected with his mother that I never knew, you know, and who tragically died in a suspicious accident herself, you know. So then I wondered, was my father into the cold cases because something had happened to his mother, you know?
Right.
And so I naturally was kind of drawn to it from having a fascination of kind of solving puzzles, I guess, from a kid, you know. And the natural draw, most mediums or psychics will have a natural draw to people, like they're fascinated by them, you know. They're like, wow, what's going on in your life, particularly elderly people. I loved elderly people. I was like, yeah, tell me some more, you know. So the cold case thing, I've never had a sheriff or the police officer to call me directly. Somehow indirectly we get to them, like the way it's been made. And I do in my classes. I do a Road to Mediumship 1 and Level 2, and it starts out because a group of ladies who took my class, I show them missing. We cover missing children or missing people as part of the class. And at the end of the first time I did that in 2014, the lady said, you know, we like this work. Maybe maybe we should do something with this,
Mhm.
And we started up a small group and kind of took it from there, and it's kind of our give back, We've never charged for that, because we do believe we should help families and people in very tragic situations like that,
Mhm. And so have you been able to, is there anything that you can share that, like an incident that you were assisting or that had a resolution? I'm sure it's not always a positive resolution, but.
Yeah. I can talk on a generic level, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the first thing that popped right in front of me, because I'm looking at them right now, is I was recently in Ireland. I'm back in the States now, and the week before I was traveling back to the States, my schedule kind of mysteriously became kind of blank, and I thought, okay, when that happens, I know something's coming, if you know what I mean. Like, things were moving out of the way, and I thought, okay, this is interesting. And my two children in the town I was staying with my mom, we were driving back from like soccer or football practice on Saturday morning, pointed out to me a poster outside the post office, and my two children, who are only 7 and 10, said, "Mom, look at that poster then." It was a poster of a young man who was missing in my very town. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. My kids have brought this to my attention. And from there, it just kind of snowballed that I was starting to see him, and I started to be, the posters started to be everywhere. I was like, and then I was saying, I get it. You want me to work on this? You've shifted my whole schedule around. Here we go. And basically, cut a long story short, I still wasn't 100% sure. One day I said, okay, for some reason I don't know the police department in Ireland at all. I want to talk to somebody else first. So I was drawn to go get to the store to get my favorite pain au chocolat, because I have a thing for chocolate. I could smell it. It was drawing me in. And there, as I went to the counter to pay, was a poster lying on the counter. And the lady moved her hand ever so strangely off the poster to reveal that on this poster there was a number for an actual lady that wasn't at the police department. There was an actual cell phone number of somebody that was separate. And I thought, I get the message. And I went back and I did a meditation, called the young lady, and we worked on it, and he was found.
Well, that is wonderful. I mean, I love how the alignment, that's the thing of when they say eyes to see and ears to hear, like you've become aware of, like when you said your schedule cleared. Most people in a normal response of focused on, say, the 3D would be like, oh, my schedule's clear, right? But you pause, like, okay, I'm waiting to see, because clearly there's something coming my way. And then the repetition of the presence of being aware of the signs, and then being willing then to be the conduit for that conversation. That to me just looks like a beautiful road to be on as a constant way of being and approaching the world.
Yeah, and it's actually quite funny, Joelle, because if you are called to be a medium or to take your gifts to the next level, and I say this very positively, you actually won't have a choice. So what I mean by that, you're there for service. So you can try. It's a little bit like Ghost. If anybody's watched the movie Ghost, with with our favorite Patrick Swayze, Whoopi Goldberg. She says, "Leave me alone," So she didn't have a choice, right? It's similar to like that. They will start booking you or singing. What did he used to sing to Arthur Henry VIII? I am. He kept singing to him. It would be like that. Like, go away. No, I'm not going to go away. Go away. So, but when you do that, accept that calling, I actually found out that the police department, after making the connection, were a lot more open to it than I thought. So my fears were actually kind of unfounded. But, when I went through the family and then to the police department, they were very open, and we were able to target. Sadly, he was not found. It wasn't a happy ending for the family. But they did get to mourn him, if you know what I mean. And that was very, very important, So I do say to people, mediums don't necessarily solve the cases the police departments or the sheriff's departments do, but we certainly can help out to look at things in a different way that doesn't seem logical. You know what I mean?
Well, it seems like we've kind of crossed into a new era where conversations like with the police departments or TV shows have started new conversations. You've been psychically aware for a long time, and did you notice a difference, a flowering, if you will, of the whole area of psychic and metaphysical stuff?
Well, I guess I try to put this to the easiest way I can. I think most police departments or sheriff's departments are open to help. They want to make sure that you have the person's best interests at heart, that you're not fishing for something for yourself, or that you are really what you say you are, and because they're by nature they're police, so they want to make sure you're being honest and open and truthful. And I do think my mother was very aware early on, and she tried to work with some policemen in Ireland back in the 80s who seemed to be quite aware, but they would come to healing circles instead of talk about it in their police department. So there is a difference nowadays because TV has had a positive effect when you see these psychic detectives on TV, and these programs, and they do these programs proving it, that they knew where they were, that they were drawn to the energy. I think when you see that kind of results, that anybody would say, well, it would be mad to not try anything,
Well, especially when there's such a thing, with the missing persons. Those to me are the most emotionally charged kind of situation, because I cannot imagine, 20 years of, or forbid longer, of not knowing ever what that fate of your loved one is or could have possibly been, to be able to at least resolve on some level. I mean, if most people try anything, they try private investigators, they try doing their own detective work, they put posters, anything and everything they can do. So it doesn't seem like contacting a psychic would be far outside of the realm, but when you have the people who might have got 20 calls from people claiming to know, by the time they get to like a real psychic or a person who's got a valid connection, not to say that all people who had the wrong answers were not psychic, they just may not have been connected for that particular reading, I guess, at the moment. But that has to be kind of fatiguing emotionally. Do you find in working as a medium that there is an emotional component to that? And if so, how have you learned to manage that in your personal world?
Right. That's quite tricky because, my husband often says that I live somewhere other than Earth, But so you have to be, it's similar to Medium, the TV program, on the TV. We'd all like to have that. we'd all like to have that supportive TV husband. Where it gets tricky for other people that you're living with is that you can be very empathic, and I know that's a big word, but empath is somebody who feels the emotions of other people. So your emotions can be constantly changing, and you have to be aware to recognize this is not me, this is somebody else. And it takes a while for you to figure that out and then pass it on to the people around you. Look, it's not me, I'm just gone into the zone, you know. Please be patient with me. It's really hard to actually put a hat on and turn it off. It is really hard to just not really a switch that you can just flip, you know. I know some media said that they don't like to have information before the reading starts. I actually prefer to have as much as I can prior to, because I then have a better understanding what I'm going into. And I've been able to manage it in a way that I know, once I know these are not my emotions and they're for the good of the person, then I just write them down and we keep going, you know. I do get a lot of tears, and I like to get it out in a church or somewhere like that and kind of leave it there and say my goodbyes. And the people never stay with me. That's another question that people wonder, oh my God, am I going to have 57 billion spirits just hanging out of me? You know, they don't. They come in at the right time. Sometimes they come in early. Like I had one today that was in about a week ago, you know. But sometimes they come in early, but after it's done, they're pretty much gone unless I didn't relay something I was supposed to, or I was afraid to relay it, you know. And once it's done, then they're gone. And I've shed my tear for them at a church on Sunday. There's that protective kind of clear wall I have between me and the situation, and I don't, as a result of it, just because I'm working on cold cases or I've been working on suicides or unexplained deaths or I don't live a tragic life then as a result of it. I don't carry that energy. You know, I'm totally protected from it, you know.
Well, you brought up an interesting point. You said if there was something you're afraid to bring out in the reading, what kind of situation would that be?
Well, it can kind of it depends. Either I've not come across it before, I'm trying to be quadruply certain that it is what I'm seeing, because it's like watching a movie sometimes in a reading, and it's not very scientific. So if people have logical brains, I get a hint at the beginning. I need to tell you, you're on the opposite of the brain. You're going to have to just follow along with me and don't try and analyze, you know. So getting cryptic messages, and sometimes when I've not come across it before and I'm not sure, I might try to avoid it, or I might not say the exact words, and then they'll tell me later on that night, hey, you need to go back. You tried to avoid this. Now we need to go back, and just send her an email and just say, you know what, I forgot to tell you this. Or sometimes when people are sitting over you, their energy is pushing on you, so you have to kind of keep their energy off you and concentrate on the person who's standing in front of you, the crossover person. And you're picking up off their energy that they don't want to hear this. You know? And so I either have to recode it or go, oh, God, what are we going to do here? You know? But I know because they're sharing with me that it has to be said. But it's the other time, you know, I did have one lady one time that her father came in, and I can say this generically, obviously, because readings are confidential, and he was consistently saying this, and this, and she was like, no. She'd gone into her own trance, and she didn't want to hear a word of it. And I just said after about 15, 20 minutes, look, today is obviously not the right time. Let's just leave it at that. And if you want to give me a call again, do. Or I might not be the right person for you. Do you know what I mean? So when those things happen, I do get a little upset because that's kind of the opposite of me being afraid of saying I said and it wasn't received, right? And,
right.
And sometimes I actually cry in the car over that because I know because I bring in my guides beforehand and I work with the archangels and I know that they're all there, and I know from having them and certain codes I have with them that they wouldn't give me really radically wrong information. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I remember I cried over that one particular lady because I was like, oh my God, what have I done, you know? And I was going back to class that night and I thought, okay, I guess I'm supposed to use as example as a scenario for my class. And I was driving in and the phone rang and I heard a voice in the car pick up the phone. I'm like, I'm driving. So just as I heard the phone, there was this place for me to pull in. I pulled in and I didn't recognize the number, and it was the lady that had been to see me that day. And I took a deep breath, like, okay, you know. And she said, I wanted to call you because I talked to my sister. And I'm very sorry, she said. And once she said, I'm very sorry, I kind of relaxed. I was like, okay. This is going to have a happy ending, you know. And she said, I'm very, very sorry. My father X, Y, and Z, and I totally forgot that, and X, Y, and Z. And that was him, and acknowledged everything I said, because she was so upset she called her sister, and her sister basically laughed on the phone, said, well, where were you? Did you leave the room or something? So it was just on a physical sense, maybe she wasn't ready, while her spirit was ready to have the conversation. Maybe her physically body wasn't, you know. But that was great. That made me feel better, you know, that, okay, it was her dad. The sister has acknowledged everything. I'm glad she called her, and I'm glad I stuck with the information, you know.
Yes. You know, that is wonderful because when it comes to you, you know, trust is such a big part of walking, to me, in the path of realizing your gifts and then using your gifts. And I think everybody kind of goes through a phase of doubting and questioning. It's like any job that you get, be it a 3D or higher vibrational job. You know, your first day of work or your first couple of weeks, you might have the nervous jitters, and you want to check and make sure that you're doing everything competently and right. And so at some point when you're just like, this is guidance coming from angels, that's a huge trust exercise, and that it comes back and is validated, then sometimes it isn't. I think that most people who deliver readings, sometimes you just never know because the person, it's very deeply private for the person who's getting a reading, you know, and it can be a very emotionally tender experience. And so sometimes there isn't that two-way dialogue where you're able to affirm that things were correct. But it sounds like when you have that trust that I did what I was to do, I did what Spirit led me to do, I said what they said to say, and I leave it there. You know, rather than carrying it on then as a personal burden.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned is, of course, the ethics. And I'm so glad that you did, because many people don't realize that if you are seeing a professional reader, then there certainly is a dynamic of ethics and, again, trust, because you're in the spiritual realm with someone as a partner in the exercise. It's kind of like being a priest in confessional, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
So when you go to a psychic reader, people are concerned then, but the fact that you're not then sharing with everyone or even your husband that, oh, I just spoke with this person and they were doing blah, 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 it really is a serious kind of almost a vow of this dynamic, being willing to participate in it, that it sounds like you take very seriously in your own work. And I know that you actually teach classes. I know in Atlanta, and some of those classes are dealing with mediumship and other subjects. Would you share a little bit about how you came into teaching and then some of the classes that you provide?
Sure. And a very, in a weird and wonderful way, I started a class called Changing Your Life and Career with Archangel Michael, because he was the one who helped me transcend from my old life to my new life. And it wasn't until I had an enormous gratitude and looked back at everything he had told me to do, and once I did it and stepped through the door, everything was fine, exactly like he said it was, that I thought, wow, this is a class. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand he was the one telling me this, but I was sitting in my basement and I started crying. I mean, as you do. Like most people will laugh at this. It is true, we cry an awful lot, but crying is a good thing because I'm releasing,
Mm-hmm.
I started crying because I had gotten this message. I was sitting there thinking about it, and I heard this message: because you believed in me, I came to you.
Oh. Mm.
And I was like, oh, my God, thank God there was nobody there with me, I just, at that stage, the floodgates opened, And I wrote the workshop like in 4 hours. And I thought, and it's a one-day workshop, and I'm probably, I normally, for some reason, I schedule all the dates about when they tell me to, so everything is based on feelings, and when I'm drawn, now it's time to do this, and they always tell me, put it out there and they will come, and the right people show up, so when I do Archangel Michael, tend to do it in June, July, in the summertime, and it always reaffirms when I tell people, do this, 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 and this, and it's always, the career thing is pretty amazing because when I was moving out of my old life to my new life, I mean, there must have been about 50 to 100 signs right in front of me going, the next one will come, the next one will come, and it's really not until somewhere between 75 and 80 when you really take it seriously, like, I get it, we're moving on, I get it, and I learned from that whole move out of your old life into doing this full-time, this is your path for you, and that, I'd been off track for a few years, and it was time to move into that, and then I would be protected, and I was, but you have to pay attention to those signs and then take the steps, So I love that particular workshop because it always reaffirms the gratitude in me, and I teach other workshops on people, teaching people how to take their intuitive development into the mediumship realm, level 1, level 2, and I'm currently writing level 3. I do a half-day workshop with Archangel Sandalphon, who is the Archangel over music, and teaching people, taking messages to God, and I show people through music and meditation how they can rise into that vibration if they have a love for music, taking them that direction. And I find that's very interesting to help a different group of people again. And I've done channelings as well with the archangels, with Mother Mary, with other interesting people that have come in as well. And I find that those are fascinating, particularly when people call me and say, what happened? I recorded your channeling and this was on the news. And I did a very interesting one on when Malaysia Flight 370 disappeared. I had a fascinating, because the topic was just the plane? You know, where could it be? You know, and it's fascinating channeling. To this day, I think it was probably one of the best ones that ever came through. And I connected with some of the people that are on the plane, where it was, the whole experience. I was feeling like I was there on the plane, and that really comes again from beginning with meditation and becoming very relaxed and then letting it just happen. And the more and more I do that, the more I become more fascinated, like, my God, can we transcend time and space, a little bit like the Interstellar kind of movie, you know?
Yes.
There's so much, you know, we have to learn. And I'm like, okay, you know, what's the next chapter? I'm ready, you know?
Well, I had to giggle because my first Blog Talk radio show was Are We Yet Asleep? And my first show was on the missing Malaysian plane. And I was co-hosting with a couple friends, so I had to giggle because I said, "Oh, Spirit, you're talking to me," because I, like you, was completely fascinated. I was kind of more coming from a conspiracy theory kind of, you know, are you awake to the world around you? And that was, again, my first show. This is, of course, my second one a few years into my journey. But Mother Mary and the Divine Feminine has been a strong presence in terms of leading my personal path. So I just feel like I'm talking with a sister. You're talking a kindred spirit along the journey. So I'm so appreciative. I did see your mediumship class that you just recently had in Atlanta, and it definitely struck my attention. And so you have some classes coming up. I know that you have a website that is undergoing some housekeeping, some spring cleaning, but people can connect with you through your Facebook page in the meantime. And so your professional page is Yvonne O'Brien, and people can find that just by searching for pages, and you'll see a lovely picture. I think it's an angel. Isn't it angel wings as part of your logo on that particular page? And as well as I've got links to you on my page as well in order to send people over to where they can find you. Your website is Yvonne O'Brien, and that is YVONNEOBRIEN.com. You can bookmark that for a future date, and in the meantime, join her community on Facebook to stay abreast. That's where I saw the event announcement. I think a couple of my friends were saying that they were going, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know about that. But, you know, I'm not always connected to all the happenings and rely on what I see others to make me aware of that. So you had that class this weekend. Do you have any other workshops immediately coming up in the next 90 days at this point?
Well, so I turned to do my workshops over certain periods. The next ones I'm going to be doing in Atlanta are going to be in the summer. I am going to run the Road to Mediumship 1 again in July, and it's a 2-day weekend workshop. And then I'm going to run Road to Mediumship 2, which is a 6-week program meeting once per week for 2 hours in the evening over the summer as well. I'm just working out the finalization of some of the dates because, again, I work on the energy with the dates, and they kind of have to be right, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And in the fall, I'm hoping to launch Road to Mediumship 3 for all those that have taken 2, and I will do the Changing Your Life and Career with Archangel Michael in probably July also. So some of those things I'm working out, and if anybody has trouble finding me on Facebook, if they put in Irish Medium Yvonne O'Brien, I'll come up right away. And you're absolutely right about the wings. There's a sword in the middle of it. Kind of, I found this picture years ago, and I was like, that's it. If you know what I mean. Of Archangel Michael wings with the sword, and I was like, that's the one.
Yes.
So it's stuck ever since. But yeah, I love doing classes. It also gives people that are meant to be in class as opposed to a reading an opportunity to come to class. And sometimes I know at the beginning of the reading, you don't need to be getting reading, you just need to come to class, you know. And I think the good thing about classes is there's a take-home value as opposed to a reading, because you shouldn't really technically be getting readings with mediums that often, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
You should be trying to grow and go see the medium, but maybe come see them again in 6 months or a year, you know. But with a class, you get to go home and do the meditations, do the exercise at home and grow, etc. And then maybe possibly have your own communication as well, you know. So, so I think it has great value in that, you know. And then, you know, people want to be around like-minded individuals. If they don't feel comfortable sharing the stuff with other people, they want to find people who they can talk to, you know.
Yes. That's some of that is like the most healing, is to just not to be afraid to say something, because you're not going to be viewed as needing to go to the psychiatric hospital, you know. And for a lot of people, that's what the initial conversation might be for people. Are you feeling all right? You know, you need to go talk to somebody. But if you're sitting around a group of people who are like, you know, I'm hearing and I'm seeing and I'm dreaming and I'm feeling and all those kinds of things, and you realize you're not the only one. It's quite lovely, you know. It's like getting a warm hug, really.
It is, yeah. Well, I mean, you want to feel comfortable, you know.
Absolutely. I wanted to say we have several callers. You've had quite a bank of calls who've been listening to the show this evening. And my screener, thank you, Monica, for interacting with everyone. We do have graciously, Yvonne has agreed to provide some free readings to our callers on the show this evening. And so we'll get ready to move into that space for the next several minutes. And so I do want to let everyone know that, of course, these readings are occurring in the public airways and public space. And so keep that in mind. If there's anything that's encountered in the reading space that you do not wish to pursue, then absolutely speak up, and we'll make sure that you contact Yvonne for a private reading as well. And, of course, understand that these are not lengthy readings. We would ask that you be mindful of that, and it'll basically be a one-question kind of situation. But, Yvonne, before we start this segment of the show, is there anything that you would like to say to the callers who will be connecting with you for readings?
Sure. Sometimes if they want to ask a question, sometimes the answer can be very short. I'm hoping that they're okay with that answer. Sometimes they can be lengthy, or sometimes there could be somebody standing in front of me who wants to talk about something different. I'm just asking people to try to be open to where we go, okay? Because the more open that they are, the more we'll get important information. I'm not saying their questions are not important, but just saying that there might be something that somebody wants to push through with, okay? And just, if they don't understand what I'm saying, if they could just write it down and maybe wait till tomorrow and then come back to it. Particularly if we get names that they don't recognize, if they could just please still write it down and don't kind of dismiss it. Somebody around them may know the answer to the question, to what I'm saying.
Okay, well, excellent. So we'll get started here for the readings with Yvonne O'Brien, who is an Irish medium who is living in between Atlanta and back and forth between Atlanta and Ireland. And so gratitude for you, Yvonne, being willing to enter this space for our callers this evening. So our first caller of the evening, caller ending phone 93, is this Rachel?
Hi, yes it is.
Hi, welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. You're on with Yvonne O'Brien.
Hi, Yvonne. Good to hear your voice.
Okay, nice to talk to you, Rachel. Okay, did you want to ask me a question, or do you want me to just see who's here for you?
I'd like to just see who appears for me.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so bear with me 1 second as I just close my eyes, okay? Okay, real quick after I closed my eyes, I saw this man. First of all, I got a very quick look at a woman, and I don't know why. I just got a very quick flash at her, okay? And then I got this man come from the room that I'm standing in, coming very, very close to me, okay? He hasn't given me a name yet, but I believe he's either linked to father or father's side of the family, because he keeps wanting to push me to that side of the family, okay? Let me see what's going on. He's trying to tell me about a dog. Did you have a dog crossed over? Dog.
I have.
Okay, because he's trying to tell me about a dog crossed over. The dog is with him. Okay, hold on. Man, say, tell her everything will be all right. Tell her to calm down, because he was giving me this feeling of tell her everything will be all right. Be calm. Okay. 1 second. They're just showing me a little child now. So he's still standing there, but I just got a look at a little child. I don't know who the child is at this point, but just came in the center. Okay, second. And there's also another man here. This is kind of interesting or strange, because he just came from the other side. Hold on a second. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, I want to go back to the first man, okay? The first man is telling me he's with another man. They look like they know each other, like they're brothers or something like this, because they keep looking at each other, okay? The other man has flowers in his hand, like he wants to give you flowers, like he knows you. Or the thing about the flowers is I feel like he's almost trying to embrace you or something. He's trying to be very nice to you. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, this is kind of strange, Rachel. I'm picking up a song that I only get. It's like a code for me when somebody's died very tragically. And it could be at the hands of another person. And I just heard the song. Okay? Second. And I'm getting some really weird twinges or pains in my head. I'm at the back of my neck now, and I'm trying to understand what's going on. Hold on a second. I'm hearing the song again, okay? So I'm convinced somebody died at the hands of another person or something tragic.
Okay.
Somebody keeps saying brother, like somebody's brother. I just keep hearing brother. Okay, hold on. And now I can clearly see a guy standing in front of me who is he looks Caucasian to me. He has glasses on. He looks somewhere around. I'm going to try to put an accurate age on. Mid to late 20s to late 30s. This is interesting. He's got glasses on, kind of chubby cheeks. He's got pants and a shirt on, and that's all I can see. I don't see any tie. Okay. And there's another guy standing beside him who's really, really skinny and has short hair. He looks more teenager-like, if you mean teenager to early 20s, because he's got a real boyish-looking face. I'm trying to understand where he comes into the picture, because he's standing right beside him. Okay, in a second.
Rachel, if you have your radio on in the background, I'm getting some feedback.
Okay.
I don't. I'm silent.
Oh, okay.
I have nothing on my house.
Okay.
Okay. Sometimes that can happen if spirits can do strange things with radio waves and stuff like that. Okay. 1 second. All right, I'm hearing that, Rachel. I'm hearing that music again. Okay, is there anybody close to you that may have died and we don't know the full story about what happened?
Probably not that can come to mind. My mother just died in January, but it was from cancer. So.
Okay. So, yeah, don't tell me anymore, okay? That might have been the lady you flashed at the very beginning. Do you remember I said I just had a flash of a lady, but then I went on to the man, okay? I'm going to just get you to write that down about the male. The male that I was looking at didn't look that old, okay? That I felt like there was some kind of tragedy around him, okay? And I feel if he's not his brother-like, something to do with brother kept coming up, so he could be a friend. Do you have a brother, Rachel?
I do not have a brother.
Okay, so he could be brother or brother-like, if you know what I mean, okay? Because sometimes when I get brother, no, hang on, no, let me go back. Hold on. Yeah, I wonder if he a brother, because he keeps pointing to your dad's family, okay? So
yes, that makes sense. Yes.
Say it again?
He was my dad's younger brother who was shot.
Right, okay. He's pointing to your dad's family, and I got brother, okay? Do you know what I mean, okay? Yep. So now I understand who he is, okay? And he's younger, do you know what I mean, okay? And he just keeps giving me tragedy. Tragic, you know, okay? 1 second. Somebody's trying to give me a J name like James, John, Joe. I'm getting a J name. 1 second.
Johnny.
Okay, the guy that I believe is the brother, he doesn't say very much. This could be in line with his character, do you know what I mean, okay? Like he's very dip or kind of laid back, do you know what I mean? Because he's not saying a whole lot, okay? Second.
Yeah. His name was Johnny.
Okay, so that's the James John Joe. Okay, got it, okay. Smiled at me to kind of let the family know he's okay. And it's almost like he's trying to show me a framed photograph of him on a wall somewhere, but it's a framed and it's on a wall.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That he's bringing up. This is very important. He likes it. I mean, do he ever have a motorbike or anything to do with motorbikes around him?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay, because he keeps showing me a motorbike. Okay, so I wonder if that was linked to your dad or something. He keeps showing me a motorbike. Okay, I want to go to your mother because your mother just beamed in front of my face as I was saying that real quick. Okay.
Okay.
She's real emotional, so you're gonna have to go slow, okay?
Okay.
Do you wear glasses, Rachel?
I do sometimes, reading glasses.
Yeah, because she showed me you with these glasses on, okay? Particularly at nighttime, she showed me that you seem to think about her. If you know what I mean, she showed me that she was behind you with her hand on her shoulder one night in a bedroom, but it's not at a bed. Do you have some kind of desk, some kind of table in the bedroom as well?
Yes. Yes.
Right, it was at that desk or table where she was putting her hands on her shoulder right behind you, okay? She said she's sorry, but she's also trying to talk about a trip. So were you supposed to go on a trip just before she died, or was there some kind of trip planned?
Yes.
Right. Okay, hold on a second. She's laughing about a scarf, okay? So did your mom lose her hair?
Yes.
Right. She's laughing about putting a scarf or having to put something over her head. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Second.
Yes.
She's also talking to me something to do about the British Isles. I don't know if she had British heritage in her or something to do with the UK, Ireland, England in a second. It's something to do with that area she's talking to me about. Hold on. I don't feel your mum is that old because I keep feeling like 50s. Do you know what I mean? Something to do with the 5, okay? Second, something to do with a 5 for definite. I can't get away from 5. Hang on. Okay, she showed me her in a bed, and you were trying to help her in this bed, and she's trying to say it's okay. So it's something that might be taken as a little embarrassing, and I'm trying to code it, obviously, you know, for the show, okay?
Yes.
Where you're trying to help her and it might be embarrassing, etc. Okay.
Yes.
Now she's going to show me a dog too, but it's not the same dog that was with the man earlier. It's a different dog. Okay. This is kind of a smaller dog, and I can hear a jingle jangle, like a jingle, like it might have had a collar with a jingly thing around a collar. It's like She said she wants you always to remember. Say it again, sorry?
She had a lot of dogs.
Yeah, this one is a smaller dog that I keep hearing this jingly collar, like would have been very noisy, you know? This dog is just following her around like they were best friends, you know? I'm getting more of a male energy as well around this dog. Hang on a second. Right after that, she kept telling me that there's a younger picture of her that she wants you to remember her looking like, okay? And I'm going to describe what I see in the picture. It's just your mom in the picture, nobody else. She looks around the age of late school or college. She looks young, okay? And her hair is not long. I'm not seeing long hair, okay? It looks brown to me because I'm kind of looking at a black and white type photograph. I'm not getting a lot of color in the photo, okay? It looks kind of set in place. I can see it past the ears, but I cannot see it come down the shoulders, okay? And she's got her hands like they're resting on her lap or something. To me, it's a very photograph that might have been taken in a yearbook or something to do with early college life, okay? It's like around that age group, okay?
Okay.
She said you'll find it. If you don't know the photo, she showed me a big box, okay, which is a box with a lot of stuff in it, okay? She's also going on about a bracelet. The bracelet. Hold on a second, let me find out what she's trying to say about the bracelet. Okay, your mother just showed me an object moving through the air that looked like a car. Was anybody in a car accident?
Not that I remember.
Okay, so let me try to find out why she showed me this. Hold on a second. She tried to give me 2 names. I don't know if it's Carol and Anne, because I felt like it was something to do with Carol Ann, or names that sound like that. It could be one person or it could be 2 different people. 1 second. Okay. Okay, I'm still seeing a car go through the air, a small car. I'm seeing a big truck, like an 18-wheeler right in front of me. So I want you to just write it down, okay?
Okay.
And see if there's anybody that your mom knew that might have went through that, okay? She's also telling me there's a child with her. Is there she show me a young child in front of her, okay? Give me a line from a song now. So I don't know who she's referring to, but it's basically to say that I'm hoping that somebody will love you in the way I can't. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if she's talking about you and your personal life or about her and her personal life. She hasn't told me who the line the song's for yet, okay?
Okay.
Are you studying again, Rachel, or thinking of studying again?
I'm not.
Okay, because your mother showed me you with a notebook and stuff around you. There was something to do with some kind of new learning. Okay, so hold on. Is there a J-O name like Joshua around you?
My sister's name is Jocelyn.
Jocelyn. Okay, got it. Because I was getting Josh. Okay, got it. Okay. Because she's trying to draw me to this name. You know what I mean? Okay. Right after that, she showed me a lady in a car, being very carefree, very happy in the direction that she's going. I'm wondering, is this your sister? Okay. Is there a connection to Florida, to the family? Florida.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I know exactly who. Okay, I know exactly who your mother is then. Okay, I got it. Hold on. She's standing in front of me now with glasses on as well and lighter hair. I'm not seeing dark hair now. Okay. She's pointing to tummy area. I'm not too sure if she's talking about your tummy or her tummy. Okay.
Her tummy.
Her tummy, is that what you said?
Yes. She had stomach cancer.
Pointing to this tummy area and she's holding on to it. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Second. Okay, that explains that. Okay, second. She said she wants you to be happy. Okay. She's lifted up one of the dogs that are with her now. It's a small dog, but a breed that would have to be groomed. Because I'm looking at the haircut. I think that's a haircut this dog has. Do you know what I mean? Okay. It kind of looks like a schnauzer. Did she ever have a schnauzer-looking dog?
She had Pekinese.
Okay, good. I'm trying to figure out what kind of dog is there, Jimmy. And they need to be groomed, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, because it was like this. I was looking at this haircut, like this dog has had his haircut. You know what I mean? Okay. Second, I'm sometimes off in the definition of the breed. Sorry. She showed me a small, it looks like a cupcake with a candle in it. So is there somebody's birthday or something coming up?
My birthday is Wednesday.
Oh, congratulations! Oh my God, there's a birthday coming up. Okay, great. It's great the way she showed us a little cupcake with one candle in it. Look at it, great. Now, right after she's jangling on a ring. Do you have a ring from your mother? A ring?
Not a ring. I have jewelry.
Okay. Now, earlier on she talked about the bracelet. Now she's talking about a ring, but this is where she would have worn more than one ring on the same finger, because she's shown more than one ring in the same finger. So it might have been rings that might have been connected to a marriage or some kind of relationship. And second, your mom is trying to bring up an F name with me now. F name, but I think it's F or like Fred, Frank, Franks. F or name.
F name.
So just go ahead and write it down and we'll get it. So 1 second. She just winked at me, so I know you'll get who she's talking about. So it's kind of funny.
I'm thinking.
Say it again, sorry?
I'm trying to think. Mom, I can't
Okay,
think.
don't worry. She showed me that she was a very friendly lady and that she knew a lot of. She actually knew. This is either an uncle or somebody who's with her now. She just showed me a man coming right beside her with similar height and everything. Your uncle could be her brother. Does she have a brother crossed?
She does not.
Okay, this is odd because they're the same. They're similar age. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't see much difference in the age. Okay. Yeah, just go ahead and write down the man. I'll find out who the man is right beside her in a second.
Okay.
If I can jump in for just a moment, the next caller that was in line was actually Jocelyn. So Jocelyn, I believe is your sister. So I just had my finger. Jocelyn, are you also now on the line?
I am.
Okay, so you and Rachel are sisters, correct?
Yes,
we are.
Okay.
This is good because you might be able to help if in a minute, okay? Because just as you were coming online, I went back to the very first man that I saw, okay? And he gave me a flash of a black and white photograph. He looked very kind of handsome was the first thing I pointed out. And he looked kind of a little bit rebellious like Jimmy Dean, if you know what I mean, because of the hair and stuff like that, okay? Definitely black and white. So his name could also be James as well. That could be a link in too. Hold on. But right after I'm getting JR for Junior. Hold on a second.
Jocelyn, you don't think it could be Justin, do you?
Oh,
he's alive.
Now, is Justin crossed over?
I don't know that.
Not that I know of.
Okay. He was her first love, though.
Oh, the man that was standing with her could be that because there was like they were similar age. You know what I mean? Okay, and she put her arm around him, and I thought he was like, do you know what I mean? I didn't guess that they were married or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Okay, so I want to go back to the other man. In fact, okay, the other man is interesting. Okay, he seems to be talking about Georgia for some reason. Okay, like the state of Georgia. Okay. He just showed me a pickup truck. You know, did your grandfather or dad or anybody drive a pickup truck?
Gosh, everybody in Georgia drives a pickup truck. I don't.
Okay, got it. So it wasn't a very big one, if you know what I mean. And there was something distinct about the color. Okay, like it's blue or something like this. It was a distinct color. Hang on. He's not a city man. I'm more out of town because he had this hat on him, 1950s or kind of thing, hat on him. He wears casual clothes under. I'm asking for more. Hold on a second. See me, there's some pictures of this man in a photograph with all of you, and you're the older kid. Don't you think he's a granddad? I saw all of you as younger kids, and he's in the background. I knew he was around at that time.
Huh.
Okay, they took me back to the brother again. I'm trying to understand if this is your dad's brother, because I think you said you don't have a brother. Was that correct?
Correct.
Right. I think they took me back to dad's brother again. Hold on. somebody had a little car that looks like a racing car or something, because I just saw a number on the side of the car. But I feel like I'm in the 50s or way back, you know what I mean, okay? Okay, your mother spun back around for a second. Hang on a second. She said, I'm doing well. So your mother's kind of coming in with short little sentences, okay? She said she was very happy to go to Florida because she moved to Florida, is that right?
Yes.
She was very happy to go there. Okay, in a second. Only water, but it's more like a swimming pool and not the ocean. Where does somebody have a swimming pool in their house? I'm looking at a pool that you showed me that's at a house.
We did growing up in Florida.
You did growing up. Okay, got it. Because she showed me her happy in this pool for some reason. Okay, a second. Said right after that, thank you for the prayers, and she showed me her standing in a church.
Okay.
She's talking about her last moments now, and I believe she's in a bed, and it's something to do with her, and I'm going to try to be as okay with this as I can be, okay? Her mouth looks like it's a little bit open, and she couldn't speak too well, and I know we're very close, okay? In a second.
Spot on, actually. Spot on.
And I see something to do with her not being able to speak, but I see her trying to move her eyelids, okay? See her sit upright in the bed, and this is probably her spirit or her soul, okay? And I heard Mama. So is Mom already gone?
Yes, her mother's already passed.
Right. So I heard her say Mama, okay? I saw her sit upright in the bed, and I heard her say Mama, okay? Hang on a second. And Daddy was behind. So I heard her saying Daddy was behind Mama. A second. And the J.O. name, but I felt like somebody said Uncle Joe or something like that. Hang on a second.
Joe.
I saw your mom right after out of spirit, turn around at the end of the bed and ask, are they going to be okay? So she's telling me several people were around her bed when she took her last breath, okay? Lady standing right beside her that says yes. But the unusual thing is I'm trying to understand if I'm looking at an old-fashioned nun's outfit or old-fashioned. Do you remember when the nurses used to wear those kind of headdress kind of things?
Yes.
Yes.
Trying to figure out if the lady is wearing an old-fashioned nun's habit or a nurse's habit, if you know what I mean, okay? Yeah, I don't know who she is. Your mom asked her, are they going to be okay? And she had a very small face and a very long, but it's all white, like I can't see any black color at all. Everything is very, very light color. I know you guys will figure it out. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
I don't know. I'm getting the word Bernadette. Bernadette.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know where that fits in. If it's Saint Bernadette that she's looking at, or where the Bernadette comes in.
Okay.
Well, Yvonne, we are in actually the last 4 minutes of the show, so
Okay.
I'm going to need to wind up this call here. Jocelyn and Rachel, thank you so much for listening this evening. And I had a feeling when I saw Jocelyn, I said, well, that's just way too random for it to be an unconnected Jocelyn when you said that. So I'm glad we were able to have you both on the line together. That was quite the first time that's ever happened.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Yvonne, I've had 3 other callers, Tonette, Virginia, and Nicole. I thank you all for calling, and I'm going to reach out to you after the show to see if we can connect you at a different time to be able to get in touch with Yvonne. Yvonne, do you have any gallery readings coming up in Atlanta anytime soon? And I would love to get you. You do. When are you going to be doing a gallery?
I'm doing one. It's actually July. I know that maybe doesn't seem that soon, but it's the last Saturday in July. I believe it's the 28th. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but it'll be in the afternoon at 2:00. And everybody who comes to my gallery-style readings does get a reading. I only admit between up to 15 people.
Okay. Well, we will definitely be sure to share that date and details through the Viberarian page, and we'll make sure that our listeners get out to that. And, you know, I really appreciate you coming on the show this evening, and I just really enjoyed hearing about your life, and you gave me some valuable perspective personally, I definitely will say. Is there any last words that you would want to say to our listening audience this evening as they go forward to experience their own psychic journey?
Sure, absolutely. I would say to people, always obey your intuition, and recognize that as the weird feeling you get if you go job opportunity that you think is the perfect job, yet something is going off in your tummy that you don't understand what it is. Obey your intuition if you're trying to buy a new house or to move someplace. If you're not getting the heebie-jeebies or the kind of buzzy feeling or the all like happy-go-lucky feeling as you drive up and at the front door, it's not the right place. Always, always go with your feelings, not what's in front of you. Nothing is ever what it seems. That's my final word.
That's wonderful. I'm going to remember that next time I'm in traffic and I hear that voice say, get off the interstate.
Yeah, I mean, literally there are so many examples that you could give. I mean, walk down that road, go this way. I mean, the other morning I was like, they told me, go to Starbucks. And I was like, but I have a coffee. You know, okay, I'll go to Starbucks. And I didn't think, I still doubted it. And I said, there'll be too many cars in this driveway. And the 2 cars didn't go to the drive-thru. They went and parked. I said, that's odd. So I went in and I met this wonderful guy, and I got to give him some insightful information. So you never know. Just follow the lead, and you'll never know when some wonderful things can happen to you.
Well, Yvonne, thank you so much. This has been the Psychic Inside Show, and I'm so grateful for your time listening this evening. And as I said, the 3 callers that we're holding, I will definitely reach out to you after the show to see if we can connect you for some reading services. And please join me next week for the next episode of the Psychic Inside. It'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not sure who the guest will be, but it's always someone wonderful. And this week I wish you all of the blessings that you can possibly hold, and that they spill out of your arms into those around you with total abundance, love, and joy. The light in me absolutely honors the light in you. Namaste.